Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why some days you can bounce back from stress and other days it really gets you down? It turns out how well we cope with tough situations isn't just about us, but also about the stuff going on around us. So researchers wanted to figure out what makes a common coping strategy called cognitive reappraisal, or CR, work better or worse. Think of CR as trying to see a tough situation in a new, more helpful light. It's like telling yourself, okay, this is hard, but maybe it is a chance to learn something new, instead of just dwelling on how bad it is. It is a really popular technique for staying mentally healthy, but here is the catch. Most studies on CR have been done in labs, using made-up problems. That doesn't always feel like real life, right? So these researchers decided to look at TR in the messy, unpredictable real world. They got 100 young adults together and had them use a cool app called Reapp for 3 weeks. Every day, 3 times a day, they de-log their daily problems, what we call stressors, and then try to use cognitive reappraisal on them. They were basically practicing their coping skills in real time, dealing with actual stuff that bothered them. And guess what they found? It turns out that how well KR works really depends on the situation. For example, if you're already feeling pretty good, happy, and relaxed, KR seems to work better. That makes sense, right? When you start from a good place, it's easier to reframe things. But here is a surprising one. The tougher the stressor, the more effective KR tended to be. This is kind of the opposite of what some older studies suggested, which thought TR might be too much work for really serious problems. On the flip side, if you're already feeling really down, sad, or anxious, KR doesn't work as well. Plus, if a situation feels really hard to reframe, if it just seems impossible to find a silver lining, then CR is less effective. They called this reappraisal affordance, basically how easy it is for your brain to come up with a new way of looking at things. If it's hard to find that new way, CR suffers. Another big discovery was that KR works differently for different types of problems. For instance, they found that TR wasn't as good at helping with health-related stress, like worrying about your own health or someone else's. But it was surprisingly great for things like lack of resources, maybe running out of time or money, and even for stressors like dealing with work or extra duties. It seems ER has its strength in different areas of life. Interestingly, how stressed you feel in the moment didn't really impact how effective TR was. And also, how long you spend thinking up new ways to reframe a situation didn't seem to make a difference either. So it is not about agonizing over it, or just about the sheer level of stress. This whole study is pretty exciting because it's one of the first to really look at this in the real world outside of a lab setting. They used an app, which is a great way to capture things as they happen. Scroll ethics, transparency, and openness. The data were derived from a 3-arm randomized controlled trial. Marciniak et al. 2023, Marciniak, Shanahan et al. 2024. However, only the intervention groups, which had full access to Reapp, a mobile app facilitating the use of CR for 3 weeks, were included in the current analysis. Scroll, they had 100 young adults. Most of them were students and predominantly female. They collected over 5,000 examples of daily stressors, and the reappraisals people came up with. They looked at 3 main things. First, their momentary emotional context. This means how they were feeling right when they were trying to use CR. Were they feeling happy overall, or sad and stressed? They measured positive feelings, negative feelings, and the feeling of just being stressed. Second, they looked at the regulatory context. This is about the reappraisal process itself. How hard was it to come up with a new way to see the situation? That's the affordance. And how much time did they spend doing it? And third, they looked at the situational context. This is about the actual problem. What kind of problem was it? Work, a relationship, finances, and how severe was it on a scale of 1 to 7? Scroll-dependent variable, finally, the main outcome measure of KR effectiveness. The item I feel better after reappraising this event was rated on a scale from 1 indicating low effectiveness to 7, indicating high effectiveness following each CR generation. Scroll, the big question they wanted to answer was, how effective was CR in making people feel better? They asked participants to rate how much better they felt after trying to reappraise a stressful event using a scale from 1 to 7. Scroll summary, all of the participants, N100, were students at higher education institution, with the mean age of 22.02, SD 2.50. Scroll. So let's dive into what they found, which is the really juicy part. They confirmed that when people were feeling more positive emotions, KR was more effective. This was a consistent finding across the board. However, when people were feeling more negative emotions, KR tended to be less effective, especially when the app nudged them to use it rather than when they chose to use it themselves. This hints that our internal emotional state really matters. And as mentioned before, they found something quite different from lab studies. More severe stressors actually led to higher perceived effectiveness of CR. This is fascinating because it suggests that when faced with bigger challenges, people might be more motivated to engage in and find benefit from reappraisal, especially if they are the ones choosing when to do it. Now, let's talk about the p-value. It is basically a flukometer, a low p-value, like the ones marked with an asterisk, means the result is unlikely to be just random chance. In this study, they used a strict Bonferroni correction, meaning the bar for statistical significance was set even higher to be super sure their findings were real. The stressor domains or types of problems showed some really clear differences. Health stressors were associated with lower CR effectiveness. Imagine trying to reframe being sick, it's tough. But stressors like lack of resources, which covers things like not having enough time or money, and also work-related stressors, were linked to higher CR effectiveness. This suggests different strategies might be better for different kinds of problems. It's like having a toolbox, you don't use the same tool for every job. The difficulty of reappraising or affordance was a strong predictor. If it was hard to find a new perspective, CREAR just didn't work as well. This makes intuitive sense. If you're stuck, you're stuck. Now, let's talk about some limitations. This study focused on young adults, mostly students, and a majority were women. So while these findings are super interesting, they might not apply to everyone. They also had a technical glitch where about 800 stressor entries were lost, which is a bummer. And they didn't look at the specific types of reappraisal techniques people used, which could also play a big role. But despite these limitations, this study is a big deal. It is one of the first to really explore how TR works in the everyday chaos of life, not just in a controlled lab. Using a mobile app allowed them to capture people's real experiences over 3 weeks, which is way more realistic than a one-off lab experiment. Plus, they looked at how different emotional states and types of problems affect CR, which gives us a much richer understanding. So, what does this all mean for us? Practically, it suggests that when we learn or teach CR, we should do it with real-life examples, focusing on the kinds of problems people actually face. It also means that when you're feeling really down or frustrated, it might be a tougher time to try and reframe situations. Maybe it's better to focus on self-care or other strategies when your mood is low. And if a problem feels impossible to reframe, it's okay. It highlights that not all problems are equally suited for CR. In a nutshell, this study shows that cognitive reappraisal is a powerful tool, but its effectiveness is like a chameleon, changing based on your mood, the nature of the problem, and how difficult it feels to tackle. The fact that more severe stressors sometimes led to better CR use is a really juicy finding that challenges earlier ideas and points to how people might tap into their coping resources differently when the stakes are higher. It is a great reminder that understanding our emotions and the context of our problems is key to mastering our well-being. Big thanks to the researchers for digging into this complex topic and bringing us these valuable insights. What do you think about these findings? Have you noticed that TR works better for you in certain situations than others? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more science breakdowns, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the fascinating world of the human mind. See you next time.